All right, everybody, buckle up, because today we are diving into a topic that's shrouded in secrecy, speculation, you name it, Israel's nuclear program. We're cracking open Wikipedia's nuclear weapons in Israel article, and let me tell you, this is one deep dive you don't want to miss.
You got that right. This isn't just some history lesson. This is about a nation's fight for survival, strategic maneuvering, the whole nine yards. We're talking global impact here.
Hit the nail on the head, and we're not shying away from the big questions. Israel's got this strategic ambiguity thing going on, right? Won't confirm or deny having nukes, but come on.
We see you, Israel.
Exactly. So how do we even get here? Where does this all begin?
You got to rewind all the way back to 48, right after Israel's founding. Think about it. The Holocaust is still fresh, a deeply ingrained trauma. And this brand new nation, surrounded by, shall we say, less than friendly neighbors.
Recipe for anxiety, for sure.
You could say that again. Security. It's not just a policy goal. It's an existential must-have. And that, my friend, is the soil where this nuclear program takes root.
And that leads us to Dimona. Not exactly a household name, but trust me, it's about to be. What's the deal with Dimona?
Dimona, officially the Shimon Peres Negev Nuclear Research Center. That's their cover, but it's the heart of their nuclear ambitions. But here's where it gets juicy. It's the 50s. The U.S. is playing it coy with nuclear knowledge. So Israel turns to, get this, France.
France. Now that's an alliance I didn't see coming. Give me the backstory, any details.
Post-World War II, France and Israel, they forged this bond, right? Shared anxieties, plus, let's be real, some French guilt over the whole Nazi collaboration thing. A nuclear-armed Israel. Suddenly, it looks like a strategic asset in a region that's one match away from a bonfire.
So while America's dragging his feet, France steps up, providing the tech, the expertise, everything to get Dimona up and running. But reactors need more than just blueprints, don't they?
Bingo! Heavy water, that's the magic ingredient for this reactor. And how do they get it? They create this whole front company, a Phantom, and get this, in Norway, of all places.
Talk about cloak and dagger. These guys were playing 4D chess while the rest of the world was still figuring out checkers.
And it worked. For a while, anyway. They kept the U.S. in the dark. Everyone, really. Then, early 60s, the jig is up. The U.S. gets wind of Dimona. Kennedy, not a happy camper. He sees a nuclear arms race brewing in the Middle East, and he ain't having it.
Cue the dramatic music. International standoff time.
Kennedy, he lays down the law, wants inspections, guarantees that Dimona's all sunshine and rainbows, just like Israel claimed. Remember that whole textile factory charade?
Classic. The old nothing to see here, move along routine.
You know it. But behind closed doors, things are getting tense. Kennedy even ties U.S. support for Israel to their cooperation. Talk about high-stakes poker.
So what happens? Did Israel cave?
Israel, masters of walking that fine line, they agree to let the inspectors get a peek, but we're talking a controlled environment. They were masters of the slow reveal, buying time, knowing every year that program of theirs was getting stronger.
And the world, none the wiser. Well, at least not until a certain technician decides to shake things up.
Ah, yes, Mordecai Vanunu. His story changes everything. But that, my friend, is a tale for part 2. So last time we talked about Israel, this balancing act with their nuclear program, keeping it under wraps, but still, making sure everyone knew they meant business. But then comes 1986. Enter Mordecai Vanunu.
Yeah, this guy didn't just leak some files. He practically airdropped the blueprints for the whole operation. What was he thinking?
Vanunu, he was a technician at Dimona, saw the program firsthand. And somewhere along the way, he gets this crisis of conscience, becomes convinced it's not a shield, it's a time bomb. And what does he do? Sneaks out photos, documents, the whole shebang, basically gifts it all to the international community.
Talk about dropping a bombshell. No more ambiguity after that, right?
Not so fast. Of course, Israel denies. But Vanunu's evidence, it was like a detailed shopping list of their nuclear groceries. The world sees not just that they've got nukes, but how powerful, even hints of thermonuclear stuff. It's a game changer.
So Vanunu, he blows the whistle, becomes public enemy #1 in Israel.
Yeah.
What happens to him?
Kidnapped by the Mossad, whisked back to Israel, slapped with treason and espionage charges. Spends 18 years in prison. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
To this day, he's a walking debate hero or traitor.
Yeah.
Depends who you ask.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, he forced the world to see Israel's nuclear hand. No more pretending.
It's like that moment in a
Right
movie,
there.
right? The spy's cover is blown, everything changes.
You got it. And it brings up a huge question. Having nuclear weapons, okay, that's one thing. But using them, that's a whole different ballgame. You need the delivery system, the way to make that threat real.
So what's Israel packing? How do they project that nuclear might?
They've got what's called a nuclear triad, basically. They can launch from land, air, and sea. It's all about options, making sure that even if one method is taken out, they can still retaliate. Redundancy is the name of the game.
Okay, break it down for me. Missiles first. What are we talking about?
Missiles, they've got them. The Jericho series, that's their bread and butter, their deterrent in chief. The Jericho the Third, that's their baby. This thing's got range, like thousands of miles. We're talking potential targets across Europe, Asia, even parts of Africa. This isn't just about the neighbors anymore.
Global reach, huh? Sends a message.
Loud and clear. It's about saying don't even think about it. But missiles, those are just one piece of the puzzle. Let's talk submarines, the underwater option.
Submarines. I'm picturing some Tom Clancy stuff here. Nuclear launch codes, the whole works.
You're not far off. They've got these Dolphin-class submarines, top of the line, German-made. And these aren't just for show. They're loaded with cruise missiles. And guess what? Those missiles can be fitted with nuclear warheads.
So even if someone took out their land-based stuff, they can still hit back from under the sea. Chilling thought, but I guess that's the point.
Exactly. Second strike capability. That's what they call it. The ultimate insurance policy: you attack us, we guarantee you regret it. And that, my friend, brings us to the scariest, but maybe most important part of all this: Israel's nuclear doctrine, how they actually think about using these weapons.
Okay, now we're getting into the psychology of it all. What's the deal here?
You've heard of the Samson option, right? It's like their break glass in case of emergency plan. If Israel's existence is on the line, if they're going down, they're taking everyone with them. Full-on nuclear retaliation.
So it's like, if we die, everybody dies. That's one way to deter an attack, I guess.
It's definitely sparked debate, that's for sure. Some say it's the only way to survive in that neighborhood, the ultimate guarantee. Others, they say it's playing with fire, could lead to unimaginable destruction. It's a tough one.
High stakes, no doubt. And then there's the begin doctrine, right? Israel's stance on anyone else in the region developing their own nuclear program.
Exactly. The begin doctrine, it's basically Israel drawing a line in the sand, saying, we might have these weapons, but nobody else gets to play. And they haven't just talked the talk, they've walked the walk. And sometimes, quite literally...
Wait, are we about to get into covert ops territory?
Yeah.
Because that's when this deep dive gets really interesting.
Oh, you better believe it. We're about to uncover a world of daring raids, shadowy figures, stuff they don't teach in school.
So last time, we were talking about Israel's begin doctrine, this idea that they're drawing a hard line in the sand when it comes to other countries in the region getting nukes. And from the sounds of it, they're not afraid to back that up with, well, action.
You said it. When it comes to nuclear ambitions in their backyard, Israel. They play for keeps. And they've got the track record to prove it.
Lay it on me. What kind of track record are we talking about?
All right, rewind to 1981. Saddam Hussein's Iraq. They're ramping up their nuclear program. They've got this Ozark reactor, and alarms are going off all over Israel. What happens next? Straight out of a spy thriller.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more.
Israel, they don't mess around. They launch this daring raid, fighter jets, hundreds of miles, the whole 9 yards. They hit that Ozark reactor, obliterate it, preemptive strike, sent shockwaves everywhere.
Wow. Talk about a power move. What was the fallout from that?
Intense international condemnation, you bet. But it also sent a message. You come for us with nuclear ambitions, we're coming for you. And they weren't done. Fast forward to 2007, Syria. They've got this suspected nuclear site, Deir Zor, and boom, one day it's just gone.
Okay, see, now that's what I'm talking about. Mysteriously gone. You can't just drop a bombshell like that and not elaborate. Details, please.
Officially, no one knows anything, but unofficially,
Yeah.
it's pretty much an open secret that Israel was behind it. Another preemptive strike, another message, and then, of course, there's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Iran.
Right, Iran. Always a hot topic. Their nuclear aspirations, the whole shadow war that's been going on to keep them in check. What's Israel's role in all that?
Shadowy, you could say. Lots whispers, not a lot of confirmed intel. But there have been these reports, right? Iranian nuclear scientists turning up dead under mysterious circumstances, targeted killings, disrupting their program from the inside. And then there's the whole cyber warfare angle.
Ooh, cyber warfare. Is this where Stuxnet comes in, that whole computer worm thing?
And ding ding! Stuxnet, that was huge. This incredibly sophisticated malware crippled Iran's uranium enrichment program, caused chaos, officially. No one took credit, but it's widely believed to be a joint U.S.-Israeli operation. They basically hacked their way into sabotaging Iran's nuclear program.
Talk about a 21st century weapon. So we see Israel using all the tools in the toolbox, huh?
Yeah.
Airstrikes, covert ops, cyber attacks, all to maintain that nuclear edge. But this is global politics, right? There's got to be a reaction from the international community.
Oh, absolutely. Israel's nuclear program, their actions, it's a constant source of tension on the world stage, especially with the U.S., their biggest ally.
Okay, yeah, how does that work? Does the U.S. just look the other way?
It's tricky. On paper, the U.S. is all about a nuclear-free Middle East, pushing for non-proliferation. But at the same time, they get it. They understand Israel's security concerns. It's a tough needle to thread.
And then there's the NPT, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel's never signed it. What's their justification for that?
Their argument is basically the NPT, that's cute, but it doesn't apply to us. They say it doesn't address the unique threats they face in the Middle East. Their stance is they'll consider signing when there's a comprehensive peace agreement, when everyone at the table agrees to disarm.
So you first.
Pretty much. But of course, a lot of countries, especially in the Arab world, they see this as a double standard, a big ol' hypocrisy. It breeds resentment. Like, why should they play by the rules if Israel doesn't have to?
It's a stalemate. No easy answers. So where does this leave us? What's the takeaway from all of this?
The million-dollar question, right?
Oh.
We've done a deep dive here, and if anything, we're left with more questions than answers. Israel's nuclear program, it's this paradox. It's their shield, their sword, but also this huge question mark hanging over the region.
Deterrent for some, provocation for others, a real catch-22.
Exactly. And as we move forward, the big question is, can they find a balance? Can Israel hold on to that security blanket without pushing the Middle East closer to the brink? Can they ease global anxieties without compromising their own sense of survival? It's a tightrope walk, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
That's for sure. A lot to think about. Thanks for diving into this complex issue with us. Until next time.